Carved by glaciers and blanketed with majestic hemlock and spruce, Alaska's Inside Passage is a region of pristine water and snow-capped mountains. In this episode of the Inside Passage, we take a 7-day cruise that covers many of the best places to visit in Alaska. Cruise up close and personal with one of the American West Steamboat Company's ships, the Empress of the North. Come along with us as we show you our favorite stops and give you tips on how to make the most of your cruise through the Inside Passage. Juneau's setting rivals the Alps, clinging to the feet of snow-capped mountains right where they meet the Blue Sea. Unusual in another regard, Juneau is the only state capital with no road access to the outside. All transportation is by ship or by air. Mendenhall Glacier, known as the Neighborhood Glacier, is just a stone's throw away. And its visitor center is a great place to learn about the life history of these rivers of ice. Conclude your Juneau adventure with a traditional Alaska salmon bake. Be sure to remember that weather can be ever-changing in the Inside Passage. In preparing for your trip, we recommend you bring a light rain jacket, a fleece jacket, and a heavy jacket. This will allow you to have the layers needed for the area. Life on board the Empress is casual, so casual wear is the mainstay, although folks enjoy dressing up for the captain's dinner at the end of the cruise. When going on a shore excursion, it's always recommended that you dress appropriately for the excursion in question. Comfortable walking shoes as well as sunglasses are always a good idea. Again, the weather may change suddenly in Alaska. It's best to dress in layers and be prepared for the unexpected rain. Be sure to bring a camera and your sense of adventure. When traveling to Alaska, you'll create great memories. But don't forget about the ample opportunities to capture some photos for your travel journal. This is a great way to relive and share your adventures for years to come. Along the way, we'll share some tips on how to take your best photos. We'll explain what they mean when they say fill the frame, and how to take your best action photos. For many photographers, there's nothing more frustrating than thinking you've snapped a great shot, only to discover later that the subject is merely a small part of the photograph. Not filling the frame is a common mistake, especially when it comes to wildlife and people. Here's a couple of tips that will help you immensely. First, be careful with your composition. If the subject looks small in the viewfinder, see if you can get a little closer, or try a different angle that helps fill the frame. This extra time will improve your photos dramatically. It helps to shoot with an SLR-style camera. With the standard lens, my subject may look small and distant. I could take the picture, but I'd get more background in my photo than my main subject. Because the SLR accepts interchangeable lenses, I can quickly switch to a more powerful 75 to 300 mm zoom lens. Zooming to 300 mm, I see that my subject now fills the frame nicely, and I'll have a much better photograph. Filling the frame, it's an easy way to add more impact to your photography. Just be careful of the subject you shoot. You don't want to end up scaring anybody with a shady-looking character like this, or of the ferocious wildlife. In 1896, the cry of gold triggered a frenzied stampede north. Tens of thousands of prospectors climbed the 21-mile path from Skagway to the Yukon over White Pass, carrying the year's worth of supplies that were required to enter the Klondike.
They were coming into White Pass itself. It's also the international border with Canada. There'll be a little marker on the cliffside above us and a bunch of flags. There isn't anything here now to speak of.
One of the Gold Rush town's most notorious residents was Jefferson Randolph "Soapy" Smith, who set up his gang here and fleeced the flock of prospectors until he died in a shootout. This Gold Rush boomtown retains much of its frontier charm and character. False front buildings and boardwalks line the streets where saloons, gambling houses, and dance halls once ran all night. Lynn Canal is North America's longest glacial fjord, some 2,000 feet deep and stretching nearly 100 miles past forget-me-not blue glaciers, dazzling waterfalls, and soaring mountains. When George Vancouver sailed along Alaska's southeastern coast in 1794, he found the mouth of Glacier Bay blocked by an immense body of compact perpendicular ice. Since then, the ice has receded 65 miles, revealing a magnificent fjord ringed by jagged mountains and fed by 16 tidewater glaciers, and echoes of the ice age that helped shape this last frontier. During your full-day excursion, keep your eyes peeled for humpback whales, seals, sea lions, porpoise, bear, and mountain goat. Marble Island, closed to foot traffic for over 25 years, is known for its stellar sea lions, as well as for its rich bird life. Birdwatchers will have the opportunity to spot a wide range of shorebirds, including horned and tufted puffins, cormorants, murres, and guillemots. With its snowy mountains, green slopes, and sparkling seas, Point Adolphus is certainly scenic in its own right. Yet its distinctive attraction lies not in the beauty of its landscape, but in the remarkable profusion of humpback whales and marine mammals that come here to feed each summer. While large ships cruise past at a distance, we lingered close to the action, enjoying the antics of these playful leviathans. Watch them effortlessly launch their 50-ton bodies out of the water, then return to the water with a thunderous splash. Capture dramatic photos of white beadboard bellies and barnacled backs, and learn what brings these whales here from distant Mexico, Japan, and Hawaii. Sitka is one of Alaska's most well-preserved and historic towns, accessible only by sea or air. You'll have time on your own to explore these sites, as well as others. In 1890, Norwegian pioneer Peter Bushman began using the clear, clean ice from the LeConte Glacier to pack fish and built the Icy Strait Packing Company cannery. Soon, more Scandinavian homesteaders arrived, and the town was affectionately dubbed Alaska's Little Norway. The town reflects its Old World heritage in buildings decorated with intricate Scandinavian rose-maling designs, and in the historic traditions carried on by its residents. A stroll along the docks and wharves gives you a view of the large salmon and halibut fishing fleet. Our next port of call is the charming town of Wrangell, where we will enjoy a traditional salmon bake. While in Wrangell, you may visit Chief Shakes Island. A traditional Tlingit ceremonial house. And Petroglyph Beach.
The petroglyphs that we saw earlier up on the platform are replicas, but this one is an original that they believe is anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 years old. This one is so well preserved because it's high on the tide line, doesn't get much wear to it.
Wrangell is a rarely visited patch of authentic Alaska with a rich history dating back 8,000 years. It's the only community in Alaska to be governed by 4 nations: Tlingit Nation, Russia, Britain, and the United States. It's also been influenced by the Chinese, who were imported to work in the fish canneries, and the Japanese, active in the timber industry. This is Alaska at its most spectacular. Walls of granite soar some 3,000 feet toward the sky. Decorated with ribbons of cascading waterfalls that burst from the emerald forests above. Silken mists drape like elegant shawls around the shoulders of the surrounding mountains. Our small ship fully explores this scenic area to get you closer to the dramatic waterfalls and to watch for wildlife revealing itself on shore. Brown and black bears, Sitka black-tailed deer, wolves, mountain goats, beavers, minks, foxes, and river otters make their homes here, as do porpoises, whales, sea lions, and seals. Ketchikan, known as the salmon capital of the world, is home to more airplanes and boats than cars. Not surprising considering the town is just 2 blocks wide and 5 miles long, with no land connection to the mainland. The green hillside is so steep, sections of the town are built on pilings over the bay. Elaborate wooden stairways provide access to homes above and are maintained by the city, just as streets are elsewhere in the world. This is the place to see unspoiled lakes and fjords, bald eagles, and an outstanding collection of totem poles.
Headed up towards Sawyer Glacier, also known as North Sawyer. It's the smaller of the two glaciers left in Tracy Arm. It comes out of a valley about 14 miles back, narrows into about, maybe 300 to 400 feet at its widest point now, with a height of about 150 feet. It's probably the main glacier that existed when they first came back here, because it's called North Sawyer or Sawyer, and the South Sawyer was named later as they split apart.
This most active of all Alaska's tidewater glaciers is almost continually calving and is one of the fastest retreating glaciers in the world.
This Sawyer Glacier has been receding pretty quickly. Where we are right now was where the face of the glacier was about 6 to 8 years ago. It's been receding fairly quickly. 12 years ago it was another half mile down, so it's in a kind of what they call a catastrophic retreat in the area. All the glaciers in this Sawyer Basin are the same way, retreating quickly.
Watch in awe as first a few bits of ice break up and fall like snow. Then huge chunks, some as large as a house, shear off with a thunderous roar and plunge into the bay before bobbing to the surface. There are few images more stunning than a well-captured action photograph. You saw earlier how we used this technique on the group of humpback whales bubble feeding. Now, imagine being right up close to a glacier and capturing part of it calving off, frame by frame, until it hits the water with a climactic splash. These are priceless images that don't necessarily require pro-level skills to capture. Today's film or digital cameras make it easy for anyone to take incredible action shots. Many of these cameras can focus so fast and so accurately, you're free to concentrate on capturing the right moment. For general shooting, you'll put the camera in full auto mode and get a properly exposed image every time. When it's time to capture a fast-moving subject, just turn the exposure dial to shutter mode and select a shutter speed of up to 1/2000th of a second to freeze the action. The right camera for this type of shot will automatically balance the aperture every time, and the result will be sharp, properly exposed action pictures that you can display with pride. You'll truly be amazed at what you find when cruising through the Inside Passage. Wildlife, majestic scenery, deep relaxation, adventure, and great folks to share the adventure with you. A cruise like this to these destinations is a trip of a lifetime. Take it. Enjoy it. Stand on the deck of the Empress in awe.